Hello there, I am Link584 and welcome to Gaming Chat. Now today I'd like to discuss what I call the Runescape debate. Now I have some stuff printed out as always, something that I wrote ahead of time, where I want to talk about the hatred behind Runescape. Now everyone knows of it. It's the most popular free-to-play MMORPG that is out there. But a lot of you hate it. A lot of you say that it's awful for a myriad of reasons, and it's almost downright. If RuneScape was a race, I would say that most of you are pretty racist when it comes down to it. So I'm going to dive into it, and hopefully you're not going to tear me apart too bad, because I think I have some valid points here. So, on the internet, there's a game that is not spoken of, and if you mention to play it, you will be shot. So, those are the first two things I want to point out. You do not speak of it, and if you do, there's a negative connotation with it. You will be shunned from the community just for bringing up any sort of happiness or likeness of this game. At least, that's how I feel. So the game is RuneScape, and for whatever reason, it gets a lot of heat. Pretty much, if you're over the age of 16, you pretty much have to bash on this game. Even 15-year-olds, apparently, or more, whatever, they're hating on it too. The younger and younger and younger crowd is beginning to hate RuneScape, I guess. But it's really 15 or 16 or older, and some kids that I think are just trying to be cool with everyone else, never actually playing the game before. So regardless, if you're 17 or older or something like that, you should be playing World of Warcraft. You should never be playing RuneScape. Because like we said, it's a negative thing, and you don't want to be part of the, you want to be part of the in crowd, not the negative crowd. Is there a thing for the negative crowd? I don't know. Regardless, you should be playing World of Warcraft. You should not like RuneScape. Defending RuneScape in any way, there is no such thing. It's laughable. Well, regardless, I don't know where the hatred started, but it seems to focus on the graphics and the playstyle of the game. Those are the two big things. Well, the graphics debate is old and new. I mean, when RuneScape first started, for its time, I thought it was pretty impressive for what was out there for a free-to-play game. At the large scope of it, the whole deal, it really was. But regardless, it had 2D graphics back about, 10 years ago, mixed with its 3D world. Eventually, they had an update where they made your two-dimensional characters 3D like the rest of the world. And since then, we've had more graphical updates, improvements, so on and so forth. But people say it's still behind. And, regardless, it's a free-to-play. So is this really an argument that needs to be made? You're not paying for anything, but they do have a member service, and the graphics aren't any better. Well, I always thought games were about the gameplay, not the graphics. The graphics debate automatically, in my opinion, makes you a douche. So, gameplay. Now that's a valid point. People say, oh no, it's just point and click. There's nothing complicated about it. It's point and click. No button hotkeys or all these other things. It's incredibly simple. Well, here's some of the things I want to say about that. Well, back in the day, the community was incredibly strong. Botting was not a real big problem. You could trust people with your items. Maybe when to go smith an item, you could give a complete stranger your stuff for a minute. They could take care of it for you, smelt your iron, make a piece of armor for you, and hand it back. Easy peasy. It really was like the good old days of, classic America. You trusted your neighbor. It really was a wonderful place to be. Sadly, the community has taken a turn for the worse, and in the most recent years, I have no idea what has occurred of it, because I am a retired RuneScape player. But I did play it for several years, and the community did degrade over time. So I will give it that it doesn't have the best community, but then again, does any MMO really? I have no idea, because I don't have a chance to play them all. So that's the first thing I'd like most of you to talk about with me, is the community. What is the community today, if you're a current RuneScape player, and how does it compare to other online MMOs? Because everywhere I go on an MMO, I don't feel like I'm fully welcomed any place. I feel like people are minding their own business, and people aren't really going to help you. So, the community debate I feel like is not a place to debate, period, because all games are pretty bad at this. Even though there are good communities, it's sometimes a chore to find them. Well, so community still isn't gameplay, but to me it is. That's an element of playing an MMO with multiple players. So, the controls. Everything is point and click, and you really don't do anything. It's easy to do anything, really. Even the combat, the thing that's supposed to be the most intense part of the game, up until the recent years, didn't get an overhaul, and apparently most people don't even like it. I don't have much to say on the matter because I haven't played recently, but regardless, from what I've seen, the game hasn't changed too much overall aside from the combat. I've seen some skill upgrades, I've seen some new features, and I've kept up with it a tiny little bit just to see some of the things that I'm missing out on. And it really doesn't seem... It still seems like RuneScape is RuneScape. So if I came back today, I actually logged in the other day just to check my character, and it was point and click, and I felt like I was playing RuneScape, even though it had been 6 or 7 years. Is that a bad thing? Apparently it is. Because point and click, I was able to just get right back into it, which I think is a great thing on my own. But if you want complicated controls or more action at once, more things to do, clicks per second and all that, go to World of Warcraft. RuneScape isn't really meant fully for the adult crowd. It is and it isn't. There are plenty of adults who can't handle all those actions per minute. They can't do things like play StarCraft and have these amazing matches against other people, doing 100 actions per minute and what have you. They need something a little bit more toned down that still offers something that's very in-depth, or appears in-depth, with lots of quests, skills, and so on. Something that you can get engaged in that could last for years. It's always growing and expanding. So, I say that the problem is with the RuneScape debate is a lot of people saying, like, oh, this is more of a kid's game. Well, first off, I think it is the perfect MMO to introduce your kids to. It is simple, it is easy, it is pretty clean, and it's a lot of fun for what it is. So if you want to get your first kid into it, at the age of 12 or 13 and play the game with them, this is something that a parent can play with a child and get introduce them to the online world together and do it in a safe manner. That's actually what my mother did with me. So, can't, argue that. I really don't believe so. I mean, it seems like it is a nice, simple way for the parents to, interact with their kids and know what they're doing online. Being able to participate and, even get into the game a little bit. Share something with their kids that they normally couldn't do because of the easy controls. Then as you grow older, then go into something like World of Warcraft. That's how I think it should be. RuneScape is the perfect starter, and then you eventually, I guess, mature into the other MMOs. But of course you don't have to, because there's a lot of content that is there, especially for those who cannot handle so many actions per minute, and want something a little bit more than just a pure fighting game that does offer other skills and interests, and just a way to hang out with their friends in another manner. So I believe that the whole hating on RuneScape is just not being looked at in the right light. Let's see what else I wrote. Let's see. RuneScape, free to play. Upgrade to members if you desire. You lose no money trying it and not liking it. You can access it from any internet browser. And even in the future now, with RuneScape 3, at the time of the recording of this video, RuneScape 3 is not out yet. But that's kind of why I'm making this video, is because of the new RuneScape coming out, and I like to see it. Well, soon it might be available to play on tablet devices. That can be a big deal right there. People who play the casual games on their phone, like I said, this is another way for parents and other casual players to interact with in a new way and introduce them to the MMO experience. These are all positive things to then eventually maybe make them go play something like World of Warcraft. But aside from that, like I said, I agree, it is a basic game, it is pretty easy. It's not the most action-based, but there is a lot there. And to the right person. Remember, you gotta think, maybe these people can't handle, like I said, as many actions per minute. Ooh, excuse me. And you have to think that then that is the perfect place for them to be. And I can't think of anything better to start with. So aside from that, yeah, pretty much everything I wrote here says perfect audiences to get into it. Parents can play, it's very parent friendly. In fact, anything, RuneScape deserves immense praise for what it is. I give it extreme props. It is certainly not for me anymore, and it hasn't been for years. But to the millions of other people who play it, I can totally understand why they do, and it's great that they do. It's great that there are gamers, period. So if anything, think about RuneScape next time in a different light, if you're one of those haters out there. You know, now that I come to think of it, this has been trying to do my outro here. I am like 584, and you know, this has been an interesting conversation. So I'm gonna fade out here. There's gonna be the wall of discussion where I will feature your comments and thoughts and video responses in the annotations on the screen when I fade out here in just a second. So leave your comments, they'll be featured, and I'm really interested in seeing what you have to offer on the RuneScape debate. I'll catch you next time.